Hi everyone, hope that you guys are doing great. So we have another one. We have yet another one. What do you want? You know what? You guys are lucky today. I'm feeding you today. You don't have to go anywhere else. Everything is happening here in this channel. So these guys, the Michael Bisping, the Chael Sonnen, the Brandon Chubb, the UFC, the all entire UFC are feeding me. Dana White are feeding me with a lot of material. I mean, I don't even know what to do with it. I'm walking around and I'm stumbling on material. So the last one is pretty funny. As you can see, the title can't say that the UFC made a bad business decision with Power Slam, but it is okay to say that the PFL made a bad business decision signing Francis Ngannou. So that's the type of thing that is going on today. I was just stumbled on a video from Michael Bisping, who was saying basically that he was saying to Ariel Helwani to shut the F up, because Ariel Helwani was criticizing the business decision, the poor business decision of Dana White and the UFC to acquire Power Slam, right? And I mean, I don't know if it's a good or a bad business decision. And to be honest with you, I don't care. They can do whatever they want with their money. It's their money. They make the decision that they want. The only thing that is funny to me is that those guys, those cheerleaders of the UFC, you're talking about the Chael Sonnen, you're talking about Brandon Schaub, and you're talking about the Michael Bisping or the lieutenant. These guys are hammering day in and day out. I mean, they're not taking a rest. They're hammering day in and day out that the PFL made a poor business decision by signing Francis Ngannou, giving him that much power, giving him that much freedom, allowing him to go box and giving him all that money. So this is kind of double standard for me. This is plain double standard, fact in front of your face. You got Ariel Helwani, who's often talking about receipt and proving that sometimes these guys are talking something in the morning and that in the evening they are contradicting themselves, right? And you can actually see the plain contradiction. How can Michael Bisping and John Anik go off on Ariel Helwani because he's criticizing the business decision of the UFC to acquire Power Slam, and you cannot do the same thing? I mean, you're criticizing, but you can do whatever you want to do. You can criticize the PFL all you want day long and say that they made a bad business decision to sign Francis Ngannou. Does that make any sense? That does not make any sense, to be honest with you. But again, like I'm telling you, that's how the UFC operates. It's as simple as that. I mean, they operate like Dana White, meaning that they're saying something one day and the other day they're saying totally the opposite. And actually, Ariel Helwani showed it very well in one of his show, where he actually had videos and recording to prove that these guys are not, they don't know what they're talking about, right? And that they're just saying what they need to say at the moment where they're saying it, and they forget it. And you know what people say, right? I mean, a lie, it's hard to lie. And the truth is a lot better because you don't have to remember the truth, right? But the lies, it's not easy. It's not easy. And you can get fooled like this, right? How can you say that, okay, stop criticizing, but who are you? Basically, my question is, who are you to tell someone to stop, and not criticize the business decision that Dana White said when since Francis Ngannou has signed his contract, maybe 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? You guys are after the PFL. You guys are after the PFL, saying that those guys don't know how to do business, that they made a bad business decision that might lead them to bankruptcy. What are you guys smoking? What are you guys talking about, Michael Bisping? He says just, well, I mean, I think that your title should actually apply to yourself and to your crew, which is composed of Chael Sonnen, which is composed of Brendan Schaub, which is composed of Dana White. You guys should, keep it easy and let the people say what they want to say as you guys are saying what you want to say. The only thing about what Ariel Helwani is talking about is that it's really based on something. But again, I'm saying this. It's just his opinion, right? And you guys also have the right to raise your opinion. Again. We know that all these guys, the business decision that they make, they got people that are taking care of doing, like, studying the market and all that stuff, whether it is the UFC, whether it is the PFL. So we're just going to leave it as that and let people talk, freely, the way that they talk freely. We know that in the UFC, the way that he operates, the narrative of being controlled from the top, from Dana White, and he's giving you the orders on what to spread on the internet. We all know that, right? So let the people that wants to speak freely, that are not shackled by the UFC, let them talk freely. Because we know that your guys' credibility, and you said it yourself, Mr. Bisping, you said it yourself. You work for the UFC, so your credibility, right, is to be questioned, big time. The reason why you support the decision of Dana White, your credibility and your independence on that is to be questioned. You work for them. The same thing for your friend Chael Sonnen, the same thing for Brendan Schaub. You guys work for the UFC, so you shouldn't even be talking about the UFC, that business decision, and try to defend it, right? And without any kind of financial or market reason, the reason why no, you shouldn't be doing that. We know that you work, so your credibility is out of the window, totally out of the window. So that's the point that I wanted to make, and we can see how the UFC is operating, how Dana White is operating. He's trying to muzzle, he's trying to shut up people when they're trying to speak out, when they're trying to tell the truth. He's trying to shut them out. The same thing is happening. People are saying that, okay, Francis Ngannou contract and the way that he signed with the PFL got all these requests and granted by the PFL. Well, people are saying that it's going to make the UFC change a little bit, right? And that the UFC is going to acknowledge it. And what did the UFC did after that Francis Ngannou clinched that deal? Well, it seems like their contract now, the contract of the UFC with the fighters, is a lot more restricted, right? So them, instead of unloosing a little bit the knot, no, what they're doing is that they're tying it even more. They're choking you guys even more. I mean, I had this guy that was saying, who was saying that I think it's actually more green. The friend of that fraud of a champion that they have at the UFC, the fraud, the friend of John P.D. Jones, the friend of John P.D. Jones, John Performance Enhancing Drug Jones. He was saying that if there's no heavyweight moving or calling Francis Ngannou's name, I mean, they shouldn't be fighting. They shouldn't be in the business of fighting. It's as simple as that. I mean, the UFC is treating you like shit, and you're staying with the UFC. That's unheard of. That's unbelievable. Man, give yourself a second chance, please. Give yourself a second option, because you guys are the one that are going to give yourself another option, and that are going to force the UFC to change. The UFC is not going to change by themselves. They don't feel that pressure. It's the same thing that my let's say my wrestling coach used to tell me. Just want to plug that I did a little bit of wrestling. Which is nothing but, and in any case, what he used to tell me is that he used to tell me, but hurt them really. I mean, when you're doing it, just used to tell me, I mean, you gotta hurt me if you want me to comply, right? I mean, if you don't hurt me, I'm not going to go where you want me to go, right? So that's the same thing for the UFC. If you want the UFC to change, I mean, some guys are showing the way, but the other guys need also to put their foot on the floor and say, hey, that's what we want, right? And the way to do it, obviously, I think that maybe the movement is already started, but is to start, looking on the other side at the PFL and maybe make one move or two, and that gonna put a little bit of pressure on the UFC. The same thing on the media side. I mean, you guys have to give yourself a second option as well. I mean, why should the media of the media that are covering the UFC only stay in the UFC and only cover the UFC? I mean, give yourself another option, and that's going to be the same thing. I mean, after all, people are all these promotion are fighting for visibility, are fighting for media. So you guys have a lot of power, are very important. So give yourself another option, man. I don't understand this stuff, right? And here now you got another proof. Like, how come we are not allowed to talk about a bad decision related to the acquisition of the Power Slam by the UFC? Why aren't we allowed to criticize it? But that's beautiful. That's awesome. That's so ridiculous, right? Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Just to show how the UFC operates, how they want to control people, how they want to control the narrative, how they want to shut up people, right? And I mean, like some guys say, some people are made for that. Some people like to be effed up, right? They like that, right? They like to be controlled. They like to be said what they be told what they have to do. They have to be told when they have to go in the bathroom, when they need to eat, when they need to pee, when they, some people are like that. You know what I mean? What can I say? So tough in the street, but so weak in front of Dana White that you have to bend over. Wow, that's some tough guys for you, my man. But you know what? I do understand as well, like Ngannou said, that some people, I mean, it's just that the UFC is choking them out, right? So it's controlling, freezing them, making them spend their money and live out on nothing. So they crumb, they how do you say that? So they crawl back to them and ask for other contract and are lowballed in those contracts. I do understand those type of things, but for the people that are not living that, right, man, give your brothers another option. That's what I'm saying. All right, guys, that's all I got to say today. That was a short one. You take it easy. And Michael Bisping, leave Ariel alone, my man. Leave Ariel alone, bro. Mind your business. Keep criticizing. Keep hating the PFL. Keep hating Ngannou. Even if you're saying that, oh, you know what? I love the guy. I love him. I love Francis Ngannou. I love Francis Ngannou. His story. I mean, he's been drawn to the water and the Africa, the fan mine. I love Francis Ngannou. Stop doing that. I mean, you can do you and let the other people do themselves. Don't be like Dana White and try to control and tell people what to do. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I mean, everybody is not at at the feet. Is not like licking the butt of or living inside that Dana's White butthole, I guess. Anyway, it is what it is. No, sorry, guys. I didn't say that. I didn't mean it. So it is what it is. All right, man. See you guys for another one.